We've watched everything there is to see on Netflix and darn near run out of money. So I guess it's time to start to revive and reboot that small business of mine. But is everything in my market still the same? Are people going to go back to their old ways? What is the new normal? Grab something to drink and settle in, because we got work to do. Yes, it's time to revitalize our creative businesses and get back to normal. Whatever normal is going to look like from now on. I don't mean to imply that I've done nothing over the past, 6, 7 weeks? But I definitely mean to imply that I need to get more and consistent revenue back into the pipeline for my small business. But my impression is that the world has changed out there, and I'm going to have to change too if I hope to make a comeback. So what does that look like for a creative entrepreneur? I'm sure it will depend a lot on your particular creative niche, but for many of us, it will mean finally getting serious about shifting a significant revenue stream to online and subscription-based income. I could just reopen the shop and put out some hand sanitizer and hope that people will show up on open Saturdays, or sign up to pitch a tent at the local art fair. But is that going to do it? Are people going to come? Is it safe for either them or for me if they do come? I just bought a cute little desk lamp, and it's just as sweet as it can be. I opened the box and I fought with the interior packaging, and I kept looking and looking in the box to find the light bulb. Well, guess what? There is no light bulb. Where the bulb used to be is just a flat panel with an LED light behind it. There's nothing to break, nothing to repair, and it doesn't even get hot. It occurred to me that it won't be long until none of us will be buying light bulbs anymore. And while I don't particularly miss them, there are bound to be businesses who've been making bulbs for years. How long do they have left? What happened to the folks who made typewriters, mainframe computers, cassette tape players, and candy cigarettes? That was just wrong. Are we at that sort of moment in our collective lives that a basic cultural change is taking place? Has this pandemic impacted our future behavior, our values? If I'm not careful, I'm afraid I might end up in my version of a light bulb business. Let's try a little thought experiment. So it might differ a bit depending upon your creative specialization. Why did people come to my studio in the first place? Was it because Bogdan and I are famous and our public were dying to see us and our work? Largely, no. They came to the studios to have an activity, to have an experience. There's a buzz on open days at the studio, and there's definitely a different vibe than, say, at a farmer's market or an antique shop. People come to the studios generally to walk around, experience the artsy crowd, check out the new art, and meet the artists themselves. Some come looking for specific things to buy, but most of the purchases in my studio are made because a passerby saw something they fell in love with. They got the story of the piece directly from the artist, and they couldn't leave without it. I just love it when that happens. But how much of the experience I just described is now discouraged or at least considered risky? Pretty much all of it, right? Holy crap. So I need to take all of my inventory and make sure that I dump it all into online shops so that customers who don't want to return to public studios can still buy my art. But that can't possibly be the whole solution. Having an online shop won't give my customers what they wanted in the first place. Can my Etsy shop give people the experience they were looking for when they came to the studio? If I just dump products into online catalogs, it's starting to feel like that light bulb factory moment. I may make some sales for a while, but something core is now missing. I have to reboot my business with strategies in place to try and revive the experience that my customers want. If they want an artsy buzz, I need to provide that through my website, through live events and video production. I need to give them an experience. I have to entertain them, and I have to inform them. They need to have access to me, and I have to be in dialogue with them, and they have to feel like they know me. That's not as hard as it sounds. We worked with a local real estate agent who was convinced that video was the way to sell himself and his listings. He invested quite a lot of money in developing various types of video productions, and he was obviously featured heavily in that content. Like us, real estate agents are their own product. So after a couple of months, he commented that he would walk into a shop or a burger joint and people would start talking to him about a listing or about his life. He would rack his brain trying to figure out where he knew that person from, only to realize that they had never met. People saw his videos and recognized him in the store and proceeded as if they knew one another. Now that's money in the bank. I also need to create subscription-based access. Everyone wants to be a VIP, and I must give VIP access online as well. But whatever it will look like, it is time to reboot. So pull out those goals and objectives, review your business plan, make sure you have a fresh inventory to show. Don't stop advertising. You need to stay top of mind with your customers. Don't necessarily try to sell them anything, but check on them to make sure they're all right and to remind them that you're still around. I don't know if I would call it a bright side to all this tragedy, but sadly, in a way, the playing field has been leveled a bit. Everyone is in the same predicament, and unfortunately, there may be a lot of our number who may not be able to reboot their businesses. There's only so long people can survive with no income. And it's not like there are a lot of people hiring right now. There's no shame if you do have to step away from your business while you regroup. Unless you have been selling bats in a wet market, there's absolutely nothing you did wrong. You know, I've been thinking, now that this kind of pandemic has crippled so many people, they've lost their jobs, their companies have gone out of business, they may have had a business that they've had to close. This might be a kind of a catalyst for a lot of people to jump into the freelance market. It seems to me that that's what happened with us, right? I mean, we were in Russia, finishing up a job, a contract in Russia. And we were moving back to Texas. We had no other job lined up. We had just bought a house and mom and dad were needing some help. And so it kind of was a life event that told us that, hey, you know what? Trying now makes sense. And in 2015, we said, okay, let's do this. And that's when we started the LLC. But you know what? When the time is right, you just do it. And if you're waiting till you're ready, you're never going to be ready. So I'm not encouraging anyone to do something foolish, but man, sometimes life determines what the next step will be. I have zero regrets. I can't imagine why we didn't do it sooner. And frankly, I can't imagine going back to work for someone else. Now, I might eat those words very soon, but once you've kind of tasted living life on your own terms and being completely responsible for everything that goes right and everything that goes wrong, that's very powerful. Oh, another bit of advice. If you're starting out as a new business or building your business back up from the ashes of this pandemic, networking is probably the most important thing you can do. There are all sorts of established business networking groups. There's social events and workshop conferencey kinds of events, and those are great. And there are those that are more personal, more supportive, and include some degree of accountability. BNI is one such networking group. We have one here in Texas called NIA, Network in Action. There are chambers of commerce groups in every city, and some of them are very specialized to cater to the needs of a particular community. The LGBTQ, Hispanic, college alumni groups, veterans, they're all great at offering support, accountability, and referrals within the groups. What we have experienced is that many of the mainstream networking groups work well for some industries and less so for others. There is a synergy between, say, a real estate agent and a mortgage banker, and a roofer, and an insurance agent. All of these professionals can refer clients to one another constantly. To be in a networking group with that sort of support is magnificent, and many groups actually limit the membership to one representative from each industry. That way, everyone in the group who has a referral for a plumber gives those referrals to the same plumber. It's a great system until you throw a creative in the mix. Now, if you design logos and websites, you're golden. You'll fit fine into the group. But what if you're an actor or a musician? How many referrals will the plumber be able to throw to you? How many bankers get requests for a good sculpture on a given week? And how many of your collectors will approach their favorite artist for a good insurance recommendation? By all means, participate in as many networking groups as makes sense for your creative niche. But don't be surprised if some of them really aren't well suited for your needs. They're lovely people and will help out in any way they can, but there's got to be that synergy to make it worth your while. Having said that, there are some networking opportunities specifically designed for creatives. Many of them seem to be very discipline specific, so photographers tend to meet with photographers and watercolor painters all hang out together. But that's well and good, but it doesn't usually result in any referrals for jobs. Ideally, you need to find groups that represent a wide variety of creative industries so that synergy can emerge and benefit everyone in the group. As a photographer, I may not often have business to throw to other photographers. But what about a makeup stylist, or a fashion designer, or a hairstylist, or a model, or a set designer, or an animal trainer? All of these folks need each other on a regular basis. Look for those groups, or start your own if there's not one in your area. We may be starting all over in the post-COVID-19 world, but that still doesn't mean we have to go it alone. I believe networking is the single most important part of starting and sustaining a freelance small business. Thanks so much for watching. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel, hit that bell to be notified of new content, and consider becoming a patron if you can. We're really enjoying creating these videos for you, so please get in touch and let us know how we're doing and what kind of content you'd like to see. So until next week, stay safe, stay healthy, and start reviving that amazing creative career. We're going to be fine, but this will doubtless be an amazing journey. Bye.